Hey world, it's Austin. Today is August 8th. So as of yesterday, I am 9 months on T, which is great. And even better news, as of yesterday, it is exactly 2 months till my top surgery date. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Yeah, man, August 8th. Okay, let's talk about stuff. I got a bunch of stuff, so I'm just gonna snapshot it for you real fast. So first thing, yep, top surgery coming up in 2 months, so still working on that. And I know I've already plugged this a million times in these videos, but if you like t-shirts and stickers and cool stuff, go check out my top surgery fundraiser. I'll put it in the description, and yeah, if you check some stuff toward that, you get cool things, so check it out. I'm very, very close to having the full amount that I need for top surgery, so I'm pretty excited about it. And I'll keep that updated as my finances are growing, as I'm just saving every bit that I can. So yeah, I'm really excited. 2 months. T-related updates. I just saw my doctor, I got my T levels checked, and they hadn't, they were kind of on, I believe they were on the low end of normal. I should have written down those numbers, I didn't. But anyways, my doctor said that we were going to go up in my dosage, so now I am going up to 0.3 milliliters or 60 milligrams of tea per week. So that's kind of cool that I'm going to go up to that. I think I'm starting that next week. I have to get my prescription refilled. So yeah, that's really cool, going up in tea dose. I am feeling good about that. I hope it will feel good next week as well. Other tea related things. I have noticed, and this is, again, I've said in previous videos that I went off of my anxiety medicine a couple of months ago. So I'm now completely off them and have been for a little bit. So I'm looking at the way that tea and the not being on medicine is interacting, or not being on anxiety meds are interacting with each other. And I've noticed in the last 2 weeks, I didn't make a video last week, by the way, sorry, we were moving, all our stuff's in boxes still, as you can see, so sorry about that, we didn't have any internet, but anyway, I've noticed in the last couple of weeks that I tear up more easily, which is kind of funny because I've heard so many guys say oh, I can't cry now that I'm on tea. And I tear up about everything now. I guess not everything, but things that I find particularly moving, stuff, commercials and oh, I don't even know, things in books. I've been reading a lot lately, and there have been things that I've just been not actually crying, not to the point of having actual tears, but they're in my eyes, I can feel them. So it's just weird that I feel more ready to cry, even though I don't actually, but I'm more ready to cry than I was before, so I think that's kind of coming off the anxiety medicine, and emotions are hitting me harder. I'm also more likely to get riled up about stuff, yeah, I guess angry, sort of. There's some anger, but when just unfair things happen to the people that are close to me, and I'm just righteous indignation. And I'm more likely to have that just sort of flare up, kind of I'm angry about it, and then 5 minutes later it's okay, whatever. But yeah, just emotions are kind of anxiety medicines, depression medication are meant to even you out, so you're kind of this in your emotions rather than this, right? So I'm now kind of back to a bigger wave in terms of how my emotions are doing. So that's just interesting as I see how it plays out with tea, because I guess I was more quick to tear up and stuff before anxiety medication and before tea, but then on the anxiety medication it went away, and now it's back. The anger thing, I think, or frustration thing, I wasn't that quick to get frustrated before tea or before anxiety meds. Anyways, emotions, people, they're things. So I still haven't seen Inside Out, by the way. I probably should. Speaking of emotions. Okay, I wrote down things so that I would remember them. So, oh, one thing I wanted to let you know about. I created a resource guide for trans people, trans Christians specifically, actually. I was going to say trans people of faith, but no, just specifically trans Christians. because my friend Matthias created an LGBT resource guide, and I'll link his guide below, and I'll link my little addendum to it below. So he created this great guide with like blogs you should follow and people you should follow on Twitter and books you should read and all kinds of good stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, this is so great, but there's hardly any trans people. So I created a trans resource guide on my blog. So if you are interested in more trans Christian resources, go check that out as well. Just wanted to give that a shout out. Matthias' guide is awesome. He's going to be adding to it as well. This is sort of version 1.0, so he's going to be putting more into it. So I want to let you guys know about that. Staring into the camera, sorry. Oh, my acne's super bad, by the way. As you can see, it's just like taking over my face. So that's a bummer. It seems to have gotten worse in the last month or so. The thing about being 9 months on T, though, is that I kind of feel like, okay, I finished my gestation stage now. Like, 9 months is as long as it takes for a baby to be born and made. But the interesting thing about humans is that we are actually born sooner than we should be. The only reason we're born at 9 months rather than later is because if we weren't, our heads would be too big to actually be born. So that would be hard on mothers everywhere. Harder than it already is. Anyways, so babies really do need more than 9 months to sort of form, and so I feel like, you know, I finished my 3/4 of a year. I've got down, I'm sort of moving out of my like little caterpillar pupil stage, and so the acne is just sort of part of that, and that's okay. Yeah, so 3 more months until I'm 1 year, and I feel like at that point, maybe I'll be done with some of these grosser aspects of the transition. We'll find out. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk about, and I'll try to be quick. I know I said I was going to snapshot this, and it's getting a little long already. First of all, this weekend is the 1-year anniversary of Michael Brown being killed in Ferguson. And so I've just been thinking about that a lot. I've been thinking about the intersectionality, trans people and people of color, and trans people of color, and like the way that we have some things in common, and the way that we can and need to stand up for each other. So anyways, I recently read, oh my gosh, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I'm sorry, dude. Ta-Nehisi, I think is how you pronounce it. Ta-Nehisi Coates' book, Between the World and Me. It's amazing. If you haven't read it, do it. It's a super, I was going to say it's an easy read. It's easy to read. It is not an easy read. But it's written, it's a pretty short book. I read it in 2 days. But it's written as letters, as a long letter to his son about growing up black in America and how that feels. And so much of what he says about your body and like the way that you are your body and the fragility of bodies in the world right now, bodies of trans people, bodies of people of color, it's really powerful. And a lot of it struck me, just really resonated with me for a lot of reasons. So get a chance to read it if you can. It's amazing. And it will, I feel like, number one, I feel like it's a must-read for everybody in the U.S. Number two, I feel like it's a must-read for parents because it's, I didn't realize, like I knew it was different growing up black, but I didn't know how differently white parents and black parents have to treat their children, or how differently black parents have to treat their children, and I didn't realize how different it was to grow up with parents who are telling you like, yeah, take risks, get out there, do crazy shit, like, you know, black parents most of the time can't tell their kids to do that because it's too dangerous for them right now, and that is messed up. Anyways, I just have a lot of feelings about it. I have a lot of feelings about being trans and the ways that intersects. So in some ways I'll never know how it feels. In all ways I will never know how it feels to grow up black in America, but growing up trans in America and having a lot of the same experiences with with your body as you and also as your worst enemy in a lot of ways was really powerful. So check that out. And the last thing I wanted to say about that was that there's a section in the book, and I would read it to you, but I would have to go find it first. There's a section in the book that talks about the idea that white cisgender men being at like the top of the top of the totem pole kind of in our society, how it makes everybody else consciously or unconsciously work toward being that. And it's really, it made me think. Basically, there's this, the quote basically talks about becoming a man and what does it mean to become a man. And it just struck me with all these different things, like first of all, becoming a man in a white community is totally different than becoming a man in a black community, and becoming a man for, like, it's so culturally dependent, and like, what does that mean? And in the end, do I really want to become a man if it means becoming the man? You know what I mean? Like, to use some sort of like hippie jargon, like, what does it mean to grow up? All my life I have felt like I was just waiting to be able to grow up and become a man. And what does that mean? What kind of man am I going to be? It just, is that really what we're going for? And so Ta-Nehisi talks about the dream and the idea that as Americans, as white Americans, we have constructed this dream of, like, if you work hard enough, you'll get what you want, and if you, just very, like, white Protestant morality and thoughts about how you get to the top and what that means to be at the top. And do we want to buy into that? That's the question at the end of the day, is like, do we want to buy into that? Do we want to participate in a dream that isn't even real? And a lot of what, like, 20-year-olds go through in this, like, middle quarter-life crisis thing is, like, I did everything they told me to do, and I'm still in tons of debt. Or I did whatever they told me to do, and there are no jobs. Or I did everything they told me to do, and I'm not where they told me I would be. They tell you can grow up and be anything. You can't. Well, how do we deal with that? Like, at what point do you wake up from the dream and go, hey, I don't want to participate in this dream anymore? So, anyways, a lot of thoughts about what it means to be a person, what it means to be a man, what it means to be in our country right now. So, sorry, this was long, a little rambly, but I just wanted to let you guys know what I was thinking about this weekend. There is going to be a new Trans Christian video on Wednesday. We're back! So that's going to be sweet. Going to be talking about transphobia, so that'll be an interesting one. So if you want to tune in on Wednesday for that, I'll be back. And then I'll be back next weekend. Now that we have internet here, things are good. We're getting unpacked. Things are going to get back to normal. So thanks for bearing with me for this month-long break on Trans and Christian, and for bearing with me 2 weeks not having a video in the middle there. Alright guys, I hope you're having a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. Peace.